Before we start the normal description, let me show you a couple reasons why I really love this camera. The first reason would be in-camera focus bracketing and focus stacking, which I'll demonstrate next. Here I'm going into my backyard so we can take a picture of my neighbor's yellow bells. This will be a good demonstration of the camera doing both focus bracketing and focus stacking internally in the camera. And it's amazing how well it can do with a slight breeze, moving the flowers around, handheld with my hand shaking. So I'm reaching around the tripod, which is holding my iPhone, taking the video. And now it's showing the picture on the left and the picture on the right, the before picture, and here's the after picture. I'll reposition to another flower and try again. Now it's processing, and this time it's going to fail because either the flower was moving too much or I was moving too much, so I'll just try again. Again, it's going to fail again, but never give up. Here, I'll try the third time. And this time it succeeded. Here's the before picture, and here's the after picture. Here's a 2-second sequence showing the before and after of this last picture, so you can see the difference between the first frame and after the focus stacking is complete. I've had this camera for several years now, and it's my go-to camera for taking pictures of flowers. I can trust it to do all of the magic in camera, and I don't have to do any post-focus stacking in Photoshop. The second reason I love this camera is because of the built-in video with stereo sound. Believe it or not, I use this for almost all of my videos I've done for YouTube that are on cameras. I mount it above my desk and I have it point straight down, and I've done it for years. The sound is pretty good. In Final Cut Pro, I usually just single click on the soundtrack and do voice enhance, and that's all I ever do. Here are two pictures showing the setup I usually use for doing the YouTube videos on cameras. I have this gooseneck clamp affair that I clip above my desk, and then I have the camera pointing straight down. I arrange a few pieces of paper so that I know I stay within the same frame. I zoom in with the camera, I hit the little red record button, and that's basically all I do. Okay, here's the Olympus TG3. I have attached the optional ring light, which just snaps right off. There's this normal device which would replace the ring light if you don't have that ring light attachment. I have to align it properly. That's the way the camera would normally come. I usually just keep this permanently off and leave this ring light attachment on. When these are new, they cost $300, and I bought this one new. Right now on eBay, they're worth about $100. This one is in excellent condition. The personal significance of this camera is it's the best flower camera ever, and you'll have seen the pictures of how it does in-camera focus bracketing and focus stacking. It's one of the first cameras to ever do that. Olympus is fairly famous for doing stacking, doing it early before most of the other manufacturers. It has good macro capability, and it has a built-in LED lights around the lens, especially with this adapter, which I normally leave on. And it has reasonable time lapse. It only goes to, I believe, 99 pictures, not 1,000 or not infinite. Plus it's waterproof. It was made in, they were new in 2014. And following the success of the GoPro, Olympus and other manufacturers started offering these rugged cameras. This is waterproof to 50 feet, shockproof to 7 feet, freeze-proof to 14 degrees, crush-proof to 220 pounds. You can step on it or drop it to the sidewalk. Has a 3-inch LCD screen, built-in Wi-Fi for remote control. It's a 16 megapixel camera, does 1080 video at 30 frames per second. And with the adapters here, instead of this ring light or the normal cover, it can accept a converter to hold 40.5 millimeter filters and fisheye lens and telephoto lens. It has built-in GPS. Typically I leave the GPS turned off to save the battery. It can record not only your location, but in terms of longitude and latitude, but also the direction, the air pressure, the altitude, and the depth of every picture you take. And it has a built-in compass that you could actually use for navigation if you were hiking. On the front, the lens is a zoom lens from 25 to 100 millimeter in 35 millimeter equivalents, from f2 to f4.9. And the little LED on the left here is used for the self-timer, the autofocus illuminator, and you can just plain turn it on for lighting up for macro photography, especially with the ring light. And then this is a regular flash to the right of it for normal flash photography. On the camera top, on the left we have two little holes for stereo microphones, left and right for stereo. This is the GPS antenna in the top center. That's the power on and off light. Right now it was turned on. Now it's turning itself off. It's taking quite a while. Now it's turning itself on. And then an indicator light that comes on when you turn it on and when you charge it. And that's the shutter release button. And this is the zoom lever. On the camera bottom, we have a normal tripod socket and the door that can access the battery and the SD card. And it has a lock and a latch both. So you have to open the lock first and then the latch, and then you can open the cover and you get at the battery and the SD card. I, of course, access the SD card regularly, but I never take the battery out because the charger that came with it is a USB charger and it can plug into the USB port of this device and charge it, so I leave the battery in. And again, to close it, you would do the lock, the latch, and then the lock. So it's double locked because it's waterproof. On one side we have a lug strap, and on the other side that's the other access cover and also the speaker port. There's three little holes there to hear the speaker if you're playing back a video or if you did a voice message on one of your still pictures. And again, it has a lock and a latch both, so to get it open you have to unlock it and unlatch it, and then you can access your micro HDMI connector and your USB connector. And again, to close it, I'll latch it and lock it. On the back we have the fairly large 3-inch display. It's nice and bright. A movie button, a mode selector switch. Let me turn this on. Whenever you turn the mode selector switch, it always shows you a nice English explanation of what you set it to. In this place, in scene mode, it'll show you that it's set up for taking pictures of fireworks right now. And you could change that by just scrolling back and forth across the top, and it gives you all kinds of help. Here's microscope mode. Below that, the info button shows what's on the display. So right now, if I hover over this penny, it'll focus on the penny. And if I hit the info button, right now it's showing the compass and the barometric pressure and the altitude, and the GPS is turned off. If I turned it on and went outside, it would acquire a satellite and you'd have longitude and latitude up there. I'll show you a picture where I did that. If you hit the info button again, you get the all the extra stuff on the display, and then you can barely see it, but it's showing the rule of thirds markers on there as well. Normally I leave everything off and just take pictures. This is the playback button if there was a picture in it, and there is. It's one I took of that penny. This is the four-way controller. Up is exposure. Let me get back to camera picture taking mode. Up would be exposure compensation. To the right would be able to change your flash settings, whether you use the flash, the standard flash, or the LED light, or you have the flash off or on, or red eye prevention, all of those settings. Below that is the down position, sets the frames per second, or taking single pictures, or the self timer, or it also doubles as the erase button. Pushing it to the left has no direct function. That's only used for navigating through menus, to push it to the left. And then below that is the menu button, and there's a million menu settings to this camera. And let me try and take a picture of this penny and show you how well it does with that. I'm in microscope mode right now, so I should be able to focus on that penny. And I have the LED turned on. And it took a picture of the penny. And if I zoom in, I'll try and get the date there. And I'll show you those pictures after I get them back to the computer. It's a wonderful little camera. I almost always just leave this ring light on. You can get these on eBay for about $100, but frankly, this is a Olympus TG3, means it's a tough TG3. The TG4, the next model up, costs $200 on eBay on average, and it would probably be worth it to spend the extra $100, because the TG4 does everything this one does, but it also can take raw photos and do live composite. And if you've never or don't know what live composite is, you should Google it. I'll leave a link to a website where there's a tiny description of web composite. The headlines for this website that I'll leave a link to is why live composite is one of the best things to happen to cameras. Olympus has been building cameras with live composite now for many years. All of their top-of-the-line cameras will do it. They've made many models of these TGs, TG1 all the way up to the current model is a TG6, and they cost about $500 on Amazon right now. And I'm not saying they're not worth it. They're wonderful little cameras. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I saw these baby quail this morning. Here the father, Dad, is trying to teach the two kids how to scratch through the rocks and find insects. They don't do very well by themselves, but he scratches a bigger hole and they run right to it to see if they can find something interesting. Just like Dad. Mom's just standing back watching. In a second, Mom is going to move way to the right by a yellow bell bush, and eventually the little guy next to her is going to run back to Dad. You'll see how fast the little baby quail can scamper. There he goes.